Hi, folks. Hi, Tim. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
We're going to give it probably just a couple more minutes. We're expecting a really light turnout today because of the holiday weekend and the end of summer.
First day of
But it is
school. First day of school for many.
that's right. It is. I can't believe that. When I was young, nobody started school in August. And I'm only 41 now, and I still can't believe it.
I looked at the calendar myself and I was like, honey, is that Wednesday? Really? She's like, yeah, he's going to school on Wednesday. Time
Yeah,
does fly.
totally wild.
So how many people on the call? We just got a few of us?
We've got, looks like we've got 6, 7, 8 people.
Excellent. Well, good morning, everybody.
All right, so let me pull up. Can everybody see my screen okay? The agenda's up there? Yeah, super. Okay, so our conversation really today is going to be focused on some fun stuff. We'd love to get your input and your insight into what we could be doing in our project for public education and outreach. So I have some ideas to share with you all, and then really it's just going to be kind of an informal discussion around all of that. But before we dive into that, Rita and I are going to give you some updates on both the RFP for the additional consulting services that we talked about at our last meeting. I think everybody on this call was on our previous call. Victoria, were you on our previous steering committee meeting? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think I joined in.
Okay, cool, perfect. So you're up to date as well. Awesome. So we'll talk a little bit just about the RFP, and then we'll also talk about the first community advisory board meeting that we have that Rita led, which was super fun. Anybody have any questions? Does that all sound good to everyone? Super. Okay, so let's start with first, the meeting is being recorded. The recording and minutes from the meeting will be available on our website afterwards. We will send you an email as well too when that's available, and we include all the other folks that are interested in the project as well so they can catch up on what they missed. I know that we are here all together today, same group of folks that was here last month, but let's do some introductions again. I'm quite bad with names, so it's always good to go around and remind ourselves. So I'm Joanne Zigmund from Old Colony Planning Council. I'm the project manager for this overall project that is being done in partnership with my organization, OCPC, as well as Plymouth County. Frank can't join us today. He is off on a sailboat somewhere. And then we've also got our other partners, Marian Institute. Both Rita and Liz are on the call with us today. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Liz for an introduction.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Liz Wiley, Executive Director at the Marian Institute. This portion of what we're working with OCPC is all about the CARET, which I'm sure you're all hearing lots about. It's a community and agricultural resilience auditing tool that we've been working with here amongst our Bristol County Community Advisory Board members. And I'm joined with my colleague, Rita Higgins, today. So I'll pass it off to her. Thank you all for being here.
Yes, Rita Higgins with the Marian Institute, and my current focus is on all things CARET with Plymouth County, and then we are starting to do work with other counties as well. And that will all feed into our broader 2026 food system assessment. So, and I'll pass it to Molly.
Good morning, everyone. I am part of the Plymouth County team. I am the Extension Director and 4-H educator for Plymouth County.
You want to pass it off to someone, Molly?
Sure, I will pass it off to Howard.
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Howard Randall. I live in Plimpton, Mass, and I'm 20 years active with Wildlands Trust and in local politics in the town of Plimpton, also on the board of directors for nearly 50 years, the Old Colony YMCA.
Thanks, Howard. Tim.
Good morning, everyone. Tim O'Neill, entrepreneur, CEO at WellnessCroft, working to build a more resilient food system in New England.
Love it. You found the right group.
Yes.
How about Victoria?
Hi, I'm Victoria Alfaro and I'm the town planner for Mattapoisett.
And Bill?
Hi, I'm Bill Napolitano. I'm a Sustainability and Resilience Planner at OCPC, and I'm working with Joanne and the crew on this project enthusiastically.
Courtney?
Hi, everyone. I'm Courtney Rosa, and I am the Southeast Regional Coordinator with the MVP program.
So for those of you who might not recall, the MVP program is the primary funder for our work alongside the County of Plymouth. Kerry?
Hi, good morning. Apologies for being late. So I am a volunteer. I've recently retired as an educator and am passionate about the local food scene.
Great. Rob?
Hi, I'm Rob May. I'm Director of Planning and Economic Development for the City of Brockton for the next 30 days,
Yeah,
give or take.
Judith?
yeah.
My name is Judith Hense. I become an expert on food system transformation. I have a focus on mushrooms, and yeah, I'm based in Berlin, Germany.
Thanks, Judith. Alyssa?
Hi, I'm Alyssa Papantanakis. I'm an associate planner at OCPC, providing support on this project wherever I can.
Awesome. Did I miss anybody? I think that covers everybody on my screen. No? Awesome. Welcome, everybody. So to give you an update on the RFP, you all via email should have received a draft of the RFP. Rob, thank you for your comments. You were number 2. There was one person who beat you to it. We're accepting any comments or feedback that you guys have on any parts of it through the end of this week. We're hoping that it is clear and that it will help address some of the more specific local economy and food related infrastructure assets of our project. So kind of, if you look at the carrot tool, there's a lot of high level overview on many of the issues related to food access, nutrition. Oh, there's another Rob May joining us. So food access and nutrition, food sovereignty, land access, sustainability practices for farmers, goes into quite a lot of detail. So if you haven't looked at the carrot tool, Rita, maybe you can pop that into the chat. That's something that folks, you can browse at your leisure. If you do decide to join any of the community advisory board meetings, which happen right after the steering committee, we go through all of these topics and indicators on a monthly basis to find out what everybody knows about them in our region. So it's also really great learning if you're not familiar with the topics, and if you are, then obviously you can contribute quite a lot to the conversation. So the RFP will be looking at more of the physical infrastructure. So how many farms do we have? Where are our food distributors? Do we have enough cold storage in our region? Is there a need for community kitchens? They'll be interviewing food system stakeholders. And this steering committee will really serve as the overall partner with those consultants to kind of help guide them, advise them, review the drafts that they produce, and help them navigate the region, which they may or may not be familiar with. So we'll see. So comments so just to summarize, comments for the RFP due by the end of the week. We will be issuing the RFP on our website on September 3rd, so right after Labor Day, that Wednesday, I think it is. The RFP is being posted as is required in the state's goods and services bulletin, as well as on CommBuys. It's also being advertised in both the Patriot Ledger and one other newspaper that I've forgotten the name of right now. And we're also, for a while, been collecting a list of various consulting firms and individual consultants who we think might be interested. So they'll all be emailed this RFP and encouraged to submit proposals for it. And then we're also going to be posting in other places as well. The American Planners Association has a board for RFPs that we can post to. So there'll be some national channels that we can advertise through, as well as some listservs here in Massachusetts that we're going to put it out into the world. So if you guys do know anybody, any consultants or any firms that might be interested in food related work, please either pass their information on to me, or when the RFP is released, I will let you guys know when that happens. We'll send you an email. You can feel free to share that invitation with them as well too. Any questions about any of that? No? Okay, so I'm going to pass it over to Rita to give us a quick update on last month's Community Advisory Board meeting.
Yes, so we met last Wednesday of July, which I believe was the 30th, and we had about 14 participants in addition to the I think the 5 of us that are part of the lead. So Joanne, Bill, Napolitano, Liz, Frank Basler, and myself. And we started off with theme 1, which theme 1 is all about natural resource management, preservation of ecosystems, and farmland. And we had a great discussion. We thought we might make it through the first 21 indicators, which are the first theme, but we got to number 13, and that really speaks to the amount of information that everyone had. We had a really good cross-section of people involved. I think we had 1 mushroom farmer. We were maybe a little bit light on farmers. So that will definitely be a theme that, we'll go back to in some way, shape, or form, whether it's through focus groups or bringing in farmers in Plymouth County to talk us through what they know about indicators in theme 1. I think highlights for me were just there. It seems like there's a lot of things going on in Plymouth County in relation to protecting and preserving farmland, promoting soil health, and some of the other indicators that are part of theme 1. So that was great. And our next meeting is today. We'll keep going through theme 1, and then we'll jump into theme 2, which is community health and well-being, which is looking at citizen wellness through access to affordable, sustainably grown, culturally appropriate foods, and then encouraging attention to food production and access, especially during emergency management and planning. So we'll see how far we get. Is there anything else specific, Joanne, that you felt would be good to highlight?
No, I think that's great. Thanks, Rita. What we're planning to do is, as it's stated in the RFP, the work that Rita and the folks that are involved in the Carrot are pulling together over the next several months are all going to be fed into the work that this additional consultant is going to be doing as well. So there's going to be a lot of cross collaboration with the different moving bits of this project. And as Rita mentioned, if there are stakeholders that are missing when we cover these topics, we're going to be reaching out to them separately and potentially through different channels and in different ways, just to make sure that we hear from them as well too. Anybody have any questions for Rita? No? Okay. So the big topic for discussion today is we are part of the project that the state is funding is for us to host a series of engaging events that are going to reach the diverse food system participants in our region and also the general public. In the grant application and in our contract, that is listed pretty vaguely. And the reason for that is because we really wanted to work with you all to co-design these different events. We wanted to hear from you where we should be doing them, who do you think we should be targeting, what the format might be, and collectively and collaboratively carry those things out. So the timeline is also open-ended. We could do something next month. We could do everything in the spring if we thought that was the best. So we're flexible on timeline. There is some budget set aside for it. I need to look back at the numbers, and it kind of depends on what exactly the costs we think might be, but we're looking at probably around $40,000 that we have to spend on this. So it's a good chunk of change to do something really fun and meaningful. And that's really it. There's not much else required in terms of what, you know, we're contracted to do under this project. So it's kind of open-ended. So I think it's going to be a fun conversation. We have, I'm going to share my screen here with you. There are some ideas that we've been bouncing around behind the scenes. But these are just ideas to get the conversation started. It doesn't have to be one of these that I'm going to show you here. It can be all of them. It can be a totally different set of something else. Let me just find my screen here. Share. Can you guys all see that slide? Perfect. All right. So so why are we doing events as part of this project? I think that's important to understand. Our goals are really first to gather local knowledge that can inform the food action plan that we're going to be developing. What better way to hear from folks than to actually, you know, meet them where they're at an event and talk to them face to face. So that is our primary goal. But we also want to raise public awareness about the local food system. It's a short, you know, we've only got a year. So we need to, you know, have realistic expectations, but talking about our farmers markets, talking about, you know, which products are actually being produced in our region, not just grown, but also bottled and distributed and showcased at our restaurants and other places.
Joanne?
We also,
What we're seeing on our screen is sort of some sort of presentation preview, so we're not seeing the full slide.
Can you see it now?
It's got a comments section up, so there's, you know, a quarter of the page is missing.
Let me see if I can try that again. How about now?
If it's a white page, it's beautiful.
It's blank.
It's blank? That is so
Yep.
weird.
It's a
What's going on?
snowstorm. There
Oh
we
my
go.
God.
Yep.
Now you can see it?
Yep.
Yeah, you
Okay,
just got rid of the
great.
comments section. That's all. So now you can see the whole page.
Okay, and what if I go like that? Is it even bigger and good now? Or did I ruined it?
Didn't
That's
do
weird.
anything on my.
Now it's slightly
So this is
bigger.
best.
Don't move.
Yeah,
Don't move.
stay there.
So it's not okay. So it's not allowing me to blow it into presentation mode. Interesting.
Stay there.
All right. I'm staying here. I'm not touching it. All right. So gathering local knowledge, raising public awareness. Our third goal as to why we're doing this is because we want to use any in-person engagement to build trust and relationships among all the different actors in the food system in our region. As we've discovered, I mean, just this group here today alone, we have, you know, nonprofit organizations, we have municipalities, we have entrepreneurs, we have a broad mix of folks here today, and there are a lot more out there in our region. So we want to try and build those relationships and that trust with everybody. And then the last goal is to inspire buy-in and momentum for future implementation. So our plan will be ready by the end of June of next year, 2026. And what we're hoping is that this plan isn't going to be a planning document that sits on a shelf and gathers dust. But we also recognize that OCPC, Marion Institute, the county, we're not solely responsible for delivering what's going to be in this plan. We can't do it alone. There are going to be lots of other stakeholders in the region that will have roles to play. So we want to make sure that we're engaging with everybody that can help change the system for the better while we're actually developing this plan. So that's why we're rolling out these events as part of this project. We think it's a crucial part of it, and everything that we learn will be feeding into the carrot process that Rita is leading, as well as the work that the other consultant will be doing to develop the plan and look at local economy and infrastructure assets as well too. Does that make sense for everybody? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm switching slides and I'm afraid, can you see the next slide? Should say
I'm good.
idea one at the top. You're good. All right. So I'm going to go through briefly some ideas that we have. I think I'll probably stop at each one to see what you guys think. And then after we go through, I think there's 5 of them. After we go through 5, then I'll kind of open it up to see if folks have other ideas or thoughts in general. But again, this is an informal conversation, so feel free to jump in, ask questions, give your feedback at any point. The first one that we've been talking about is community food forums. That can mean a lot of different things. What we're thinking is that the goal of this community food forum, and there could be multiple ones, is to showcase the food system, to raise awareness, and to invite feedback from folks. So we would be targeting the general public as well as any local leaders in the food system. So restaurant owners, farmers, food pantries, that sort of thing. The style could be multiple different formats. The two that we've thought about were either a town hall style event where we gather people into one location, maybe we do some presentations, have folks talk about different topics, or more of a panel and discussion kind of approach where you've got kind of multiple people up front talking about a whole bunch of different things, and then the crowd kind of going back and forth with the panel in their discussion. We could offer some light refreshments. We could get some local food folks to provide some tastings. We do want to make it, we do want to encourage folks to attend. And so we try to remove any barriers that might prevent participation. So we could offer potentially childcare, translation if we think that's needed, that sort of thing. And maybe some raffles from local donors to encourage participation as well. We could hold them at municipal facilities, so like your local libraries or council on aging or community centers. We could partner with educational institutions. We have Bridgewater State, Stonehill, Massasoit, Duxbury Maritime. We have quite a few in our region that we could partner with and in the county. So that's kind of the first idea, is kind of this idea of a food forum. Any thoughts? Good idea, bad idea, not quite sure.
How many ideas are you going to share before we comment?
Five.
For me, I need to kind
Should I
of
go
understand
through them
all
all
of it before.
first?
Yeah, I'd like to see what you just kind of breeze through them, so that way we kind of get a little feedback and take notes.
Yep, cool, that's kind. Okay, so the first one, community food forums. Second one is stakeholder roundtables. I think we're probably going to do these anyway, less so as like an event and more so just as part of the carrot process and the consultants work. But the idea here is that the food growers, processors, distributors, any stakeholder groups, so people that either have like a common occupation or they might have a common problem, would gather together in the style of a focus group, and we'd have a facilitated dialogue with them. So the goal here would be to identify those sector-specific challenges and opportunities that this stakeholder group might be facing, and try and use those sessions to build some opportunities for implementation too. So to kind of brainstorm or troubleshoot around the challenges and opportunities and see what we might be able to build into the action plan. We could potentially offer stipends for participation. So there might be some stakeholder groups, for example, one of the stakeholder groups sort of that we've been talking about with Rita has been folks with lived experience of food insecurity. We would love to have folks with lived experience of food insecurity on our community advisory board. We haven't been able to recruit anyone yet with that experience, but we're thinking, well, maybe an alternative to engaging would be to hold a focus group where we invite several folks with lived experiences to the same focus group in what might be sort of a safer environment for them, or a perceived safer environment for them, and then offer stipends for their participation in recognition of the different barriers that might prevent them from normally joining our community advisory board meetings. So the roundtables are really kind of like focus groups, but that's our second idea. Third idea is local food and local voices community dinners. So these would be less formal than a community forum. The idea is to build relationships and, again, gather lived experience in a culturally responsive setting. It's much more fun, it's much more social, it's probably less intimidating than a forum. Here, we could specifically target residents from underrepresented communities in our region. So we could host community dinners, for example, in Brockton, in Stoughton. We could hold it with different folks of different ethnic and cultural backgrounds, perhaps. There's a broad variety of different ways that we could do that. But the format would be a shared meal. We'd have it catered by a local vendor. We'd probably offer some raffles for folks that do participate. And then we could do it in more of a storytelling or structured dialogue kind of way. So it's less folks being kind of talked at and then expecting to kind of respond, more just chats with people who might be sitting next to you or across from you. And this format itself would lend itself really well to partnering with churches or other community groups who could help us with the outreach and or co-host. That's the community dinners idea. Fourth idea is mini grants. Maybe we'd call them stipends and not necessarily mini grants. But the idea is that in order to decentralize some of the outreach, so it's not just us constantly reaching out to everybody else, we want to broaden the engagement with harder to reach audiences by offering folks who already work with those audiences some financial support to do their own outreach around our project with their groups. So the idea is to offer a limited number of these mini grants for, it could be an individual, it could be just 501c3 nonprofits. We can talk about that and figure that out. But the idea is to give somebody else a little bit of money, maybe it's $500, maybe it's $1,000, and they would then host some sort of creative outreach or event with dialogue. So it could be, they might decide to table about the local farms in their community at the grocery store and let people know where their food's coming from. Or maybe they want to host a local cooking event in their community around a specific cuisine or something like that, and then talk about our project as part of that. It could be a youth art competition that maybe a local library wants to run. It would be up to them to determine what they think is best to engage with the audiences that they know the best, way better than we probably do. So some of the things we'd have to figure out would be how much money, how many of these grants can we actually build into the program, whether we do it as a competitive application. So organizations and individuals would have to apply, and then we'd have a little committee that would decide who gets them. Or do we do it by invitation? There are so many community groups and organizations in our region that could probably do quite a lot with this. So do we approach, 5 of them ourselves, identify them in the steering group and just offer them the stipend to do this work? And then, as I mentioned before, is it for informal groups? Is it just for 501c3s? Is it just for individuals essentially paying for their time to do organization on our behalf? I don't know. This one has some logistics that would need to be worked out, probably more so than some of the other things. But what we liked about this idea is that it does decentralize the outreach, and it will probably help us reach a lot of people that probably we won't be able to reach from our kind of centralized point of view. And then in order to get the feedback from these events, instead of asking them to produce some kind of report or something else super fancy, we just ask them to share some photos and to provide us with a short recap. So that could be maybe they have a call with us and we'll take their knowledge down for our own notes, or maybe they just provide us with, bullet points in an email, or we can figure that out. That's idea 4. And then idea 5 is a capstone event or some sort of regional food summit or a regional gathering at the end of the project, probably in June 2026, that would kind of really serve 2 purposes. So, 3 purposes. It could, at that time, we'll have the draft ready of the food action plan. So it will be a great opportunity to present the draft and invite people to feedback and comment on it. It would also increase visibility. A larger event like that would probably get maybe some local media coverage, some interest from a broader variety of groups and people. And it would be hopefully attractive to the cross-sector stakeholders as well too. So not just the general public, but municipal folks and folks who are actually distributing or producing or retailing food as well too. And it could be, again, the formats could be, I mean, you could do it in multiple ways. We could do it, I would prefer, if we did go down this route, to do an in-person event with maybe a hybrid option. I would rather not do it solely online, but we could explore that idea too if we just wanted to do an online format. I would love to get young people involved in our project. It's a little bit tricky because if they're under 18, you need parental permission. And that's something maybe some of you all might have more experience in navigating than I do or OCPC does. But working with young people is always challenging because of different rules that you have to follow, and rightly so. But that's idea 5. So that's our last idea that we have. Thoughts, comments, suggestions? What do you guys think?
If no one's going to jump in, I will.
Please.
So I do a lot of these in different ways. And I think that out of all 5, the one that resonated the most was the stakeholder one. And the reason I say that is because I think this is a really complex system dynamic we're talking about right now. And I think if you don't get to the people who get down to the brass, right, who really get below the surface, you're not going to find out what's really happening. I mean, I go to a lot of topical events in agriculture in New England, and they're great, but do they really get to the deep, deep level of the people who are on the data grind? So I like that one best, but I think you should maybe combine it with get the right data, from the stakeholders, but you should have some type of a capstone event as well. And maybe pair that with something like a economic development forum in one of the towns. Because that would be like this year, the forum in Plymouth is only one day. Maybe this could be the second day next year or something where you could bring it together. So I'll close there. I think, again, complex system dynamic here. Need some people that are really working underneath this and know the gaps, because this is a gap identification. People on the top aren't really going to know what's happening down below those layers, I think. We got a lot of people on here that do, but I don't know if the public would. I'll close there.
I think there's a lot of data out there that can be found to uncover the need with the various food pantries that have to exist. I think there must be 10 or more in the region, and they're certainly dealing with one of the groups that is having food insecurity issues.
If I could, Howard, you're perfectly right. I mean, the Farm to Institution New England is 34 food hubs and processors that meet. In fact, after this meeting today, I'm going to that meeting. And so maybe FINE is another opportunity because they do an annual event where they're trying to get farmers to be sold into institutions. Great, very common to what we're doing here, but perhaps FINE is an organization. I'll stop there.
What are they called, Tim? Sorry, Tim, can you just repeat what they're called? Farm
to Institution New England. These are the people who work directly with farmers and nonprofit food hubs to get food into institutions across our region. This is an incredible group of people, and they have scientists, and they have food scientists from Vermont that they work with. So, and they have a great event every year as well. But FINE has been around for a long time, 30 years, I think, and so it's been doing a lot of work in improving agriculture. They have a lot of relationships with the go-to-market folks that buy, which is really what stakeholders care about, right? How do you build it and then sell it so we have a working system that doesn't fail to be consumed?
That's really great. Rita, Liz, do you guys as Marian Institute interact with that group at all?
Yep, we do. Yes, we
You do. Oh, great.
Yeah, and I'll just, Carrie, I see your hand up, but just to address, for those on the committee today, this is something that we've been doing, right? So as the Marian Institute runs the South Coast Food Policy Council, we've been running it since 2020, right before the pandemic. And we work with a CAB, a Community Advisory Board in our region. And it's that CAB that we do all of our work through. We have members at large, but we have that 35-member Community Advisory Board that we did our carrot with as well. And what I will say is a few things. The stakeholder roundtables are absolutely necessary because you can never get enough of the stakeholders, even part of your CAB, right? So as Joanne mentioned earlier, it's hard to get farmers. It's August, even if we got farmers right now, they would just be like, rah, to us. And so, it's hard to get we talked about food equity advisors, and unless you have the time and the time to really truly build relationships that are trusted, secure relationships, that those people eventually become part of your CAB, you can't, that takes time. So the importance of being able to have focus groups with food equity advisors is something that we still do. We just conducted a couple this summer. So separate from, I mean, we do it every couple of years because one, that's an invaluable way to get food equity advisors' input into the work that you're doing. And that is probably the only way that you can start to build relationships, to like cultivate a relationship where one of them feels comfortable enough to join the CAB and you know, participate more regularly in that way. I think there was another point that I wanted to make that Tim and Howard, you jogged for me, but it will come back. So Carrie, go ahead.
So my thinking on this is I volunteer at the Meal Kit Monday at Social Community Action Council's food bank. And I have been doing this for several months, and I feel like even in that short time, I've developed, if you will, some relationships with the regular clientele that come through. And I feel like if I feel that way, the people who run these pantries, I mean, they're the ones who have the relationships with these people. So I just wonder if it's worth reaching out to those managers, those coordinators.
Yeah, that's how we get our food. Absolutely, Carrie. That's how we get our focus groups organized. You know, like one of the ones last summer was with Pace and their food pantry. You know, they have the built relationships, you know, so that's exactly what you have to go to the organizations that have the trusted built relationships with the individuals that you're trying to get more information from.
Yeah. And I didn't know if there'd be ways to add on to those existing regular occurrences. I don't know if it's a table where you engage with the people as they come out or whatever that might look like, but there's a built-in structure there to tap into.
How much?
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Howard.
What do you want to know about the clients? I think there's going to be a sensitivity there that we need to have some guidelines around, and we don't want to scare the clients away in that sense. You know, there's the raw data, how many people a week are you seeing, what issues are you having, getting a broad spectrum of food items to distribute and meet the wholesome meal requirements, those kinds of. If you move beyond that into the individual stories of the people, that may get more dicey, I would think. But the demographics are important as well. So I just don't know how far we want to drill down into the client, if you will, of the.
I will say, Howard, that we've, you know, having done this a lot and now work with food equity advisors that come on to our CAB every year, we always typically have 3 to 4 that we work with consistently in these focus groups. I have personally found that if you build the right environment, if they are welcomed in by, like I said, that trusted person that they already have a relationship with, you provide food and you provide stipends for their participation, very often they are so eager to be heard, right? And to be able to share what they're experiencing because they want it fixed too, and they want to be a part of the solution. So we have found, you know, just being really mindful of what, like, you know, making sure we have translators and, you know, like just creating the right environment has really made them feel, goes a long way for making them feel valued and heard and wanting to share. So that's what I've experienced.
Yeah, I think if we look to the next group, if I could say down, if you will, you know, these are people who are able to get to food banks and pick up things. Other agencies like the Old Colony Y, I know in the Brockton area and working with the Boston Food Bank, we're going out to a different demographic. We're delivering food to another set of people who can't get out. So I think those are stakeholders that we also need at the table, whether we mix and match. I don't know whether we want to see these as layers of service, but and need. But I know that we face problems every day, delivering the number of meals that we put out, but, I'm sure there are other providers, at that level that are bringing food to people.
Yeah. Rob, Rob and John, what do you guys think? You guys work in probably one of the most challenging communities for engagement that we have in our region. So Rob and John are both planners for the city of Brockton. What are your thoughts on, what you think would get folks in Brockton engaged, but also some of the underrepresented groups that we're talking about?
I kind of like the idea of having special events and focus groups around food and bringing people together around food. I've posted in the chat some things that I've seen done or have worked on in other communities where you have a 100-mile meal. Given that we are focusing on growing in the Plymouth County area, maybe we can feature Plymouth County farms and Plymouth County seafood and whatnot. And as a delivery method for short or smaller events, we had done this when I was in the hospitality industry, and we did what we called Dinner on the Mayflower, where we rented a Mayflower moving van, cleaned the hell out of it, of course, and then served food in that. And given that moving vans are mobile, it would be possible to do these pop-ups in multiple communities and keep that whole theme going and keep the Plymouth pride and blah, blah, blah going on.
Oh my God, love that.
Yeah.
Love
I
that.
thought you actually meant like the Mayflower, and this is way.
Yeah.
How many can we get on that? And
Yeah.
I love that. I love that it can be mobile. It can go right directly into the community. That's
And because
really
it's a
great idea.
moving van, then the press gets involved because, oh, this is, kind of interesting and cute. I sent a video from like 1984
Awesome.
attached in there. So it hasn't been done in a while, so we might get some novelty out of it.
I met the
Yeah.
captain of the Mayflower at last year's Blue Economy. Wouldn't it be funny just to have him show up? Who's the real captain?
I worked with
That's
the
great.
kid that won the successful essay to get to ride over as a cabin boy on the Mayflower when it came.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. They had quite an event in Plymouth, but nobody showed up when it first came. And of course, COVID took out the last to do anything.
Hampton, how about yourself? What do you think? And then we'll go to Judith too. I just noticed Judy had your finger up.
I
Hampton, you guys have done a lot of cool.
either.
Yeah,
John, did you have something to add?
nothing that's going to top what Rob said. So,
Oh,
No, come on.
I like the idea of the moving van, but one of the things that I'm particularly, my wife volunteers at one of, I'll say at least half a dozen, maybe more, food pantries here in Plymouth, and I know that they do a brisk business, and I know that there has been work done on trying to incorporate local agriculture into the food distribution system down here at the southern end of the OCPC. And so my focus is more toward the town of Plymouth, and generally I don't have great visibility into the northern end of the OCPC and towns to the northwest of here. But my thought is I like the idea of use of facilities that are available and generally welcoming. One of the nice facilities for events is down at the Plymouth Patuxent facility. And if there is, they have 2 theaters there as well. So if you have ideas of engagement that would involve some sort of charts or documentaries supporting the activity and generating ideas of how to address the issues that we're confronting. And finally, one that is particularly dear to me is the Plymouth Coalition for the Homeless.
Yeah.
Plymouth Area Coalition. And they do have a food pantry and so on. So getting food from the producers as quickly as possible to the end consumers who are in need of the food is high on my list. And I only wish I had time to join my wife at the food pantry because I could lift the heavier crates.
Yeah.
Thanks, Hampton.
Yeah.
Judith?
Yeah, sorry, I had to run out. I had a really important phone call, so I'm not sure whether you targeted this specific target group, which I think are small scale, medium scale entrepreneurs who are food producers or who have restaurants going. I think they're really important, section in the food system to talk to. And the big guys, they know how it's done. They have everything. They have the chains running. They know how the products are moved where, when, how to target the consumer where, and they are all good. It's more the medium and small scale who, especially startups who come up with new, novel ideas, maybe making food out of food scraps. We have a company here in Berlin who ferments leftover fruits and vegetables and makes really interesting foods out of this. And one way the local government in Berlin reached out to these guys was through a brunch. So the government invited everyone for a brunch, and actually some of the producers actually had their produce there to sample them. So it was a relatively cheap way of having everyone coming in. And then there was also a few working groups, really open swimming working groups where they were discussing the various challenges that they were facing. Germany being Germany, obviously a lot of this is bureaucracy. How do I get a new facility opened, where all the permits and this and that? And a lot of this, if you then have a central organ in the government or in the Senate or with you guys to understand their challenges, a lot of these are cross-sectoral or cross-departmental challenges that you internally need to find ways how to move about. It's not quite often, it's not necessarily just money. It's literally, oh, we need this regulation to be softened here, or we need an in with this department, stuff like this. So I thought this brunch idea meeting, and also the vibe that was created, was amazing. It was a really cool morning, and a lot of things I think will come of it. So that's just
that's a really good point. One of the things that after our community advisory board meeting last month, one of the things that Marian Institute, OCPC, and the county talked a little bit about is that we're kind of missing people in the middle of the food chain as well. So in addition to not really having farmers engaging with us yet, those in the middle are kind of missing as well too. So your restaurants, your adding value product people, that sort of thing. And we do have some good contacts with the established folks, particularly in the city of Brockton, Concord Foods. There's quite a few of them that are in Brockton that we could engage with, probably in a focus group or in an interview, as opposed to expecting them to come regularly every month. But those entrepreneurs are kind of the tricky ones. We don't really have, some parts of the state have cooperative working spaces or other organizations that are really trying to engage with that group. Here it's a little bit less glued together. So I'm staring on my screen at Tim, our entrepreneur here. So I'm hoping that we'll come up with some really good ideas. And what we're hoping to is we're only on our second month and it's the summer. And launching any kind of engagement during the summer is tough. So we're hoping as the months kind of go on, by the end of the year, we're going to start seeing a lot more faces at these events and things that we're doing. Mhm.
Yeah, so
Go
I
ahead, Tim.
saw the comment there about entrepreneur. Know this, I'm an entrepreneur in food processing, right? I supply chain is what I deal with farmers, right? We work with them every year. We do their plantings. We bring it all the way through. We turn New England products. Most of them, we use their agricultural seconds, which are food waste up here in New England. We can turn those into a freeze-dried snack at a premium quality that sells for $11 at Whole Foods. So there's a way to win in this region if you understand the system dynamics, as I mentioned before. But having food processors on is what I also said earlier, and that's where the fine integration piece comes, because it's 35 of us over there.
Yeah, great. So let's see, who hasn't spoken yet? Victoria, Bill, Courtney, Alyssa, do you guys have anything to add? We've got a few minutes left in the meeting. What are your thoughts?
I'll jump in actually as
Go
well.
for it, Rita.
The event that I thought was interesting was the mini grants one, and I know what you mean about the logistics, but I almost think too, seeing what other events, other organizations that are deeper in it, what they hold, what's successful, what kind of events might, reach a broader audience. Obviously for the information and the engagement, but also then, for modeling some of the events that we might try as well. I think that the dinners are great. I think it's, and you may have written this, Joanne, in there, but what is the point? What is the purpose of the event? And I think that if the purpose of an event, like I think the dinners are great, it's a good way to get the word out there. People do love them, but having a little bit more curation, asking people questions, because otherwise it is just a dinner, which if that's the point is just to celebrate local food, but also making sure that that you can get as broad an audience as possible. We held some dinners out on Nantucket and always had seats made sure that farmers, now it was a paid ticket, so it might be different, but made sure that farmers always were invited. But we also had seats for people who were experiencing food insecurity. Sometimes they took us up on them and sometimes they didn't. I think sometimes they felt like the events were maybe a little bit intimidating. We were trying to so I think just kind of being aware of who would feel welcome at that kind of event, curate them a bit more in if we want actual information or people to engage, because where you're sitting at those kinds of events really dictates who you get to talk to. But yeah, also just I think the mini grants to see kind of broaden our vision for different types of events. I think the capstone, I agree, I think the capstone is for sure. But then yeah, seeing how creative we can get with the events.
Great. No, that's awesome. Thank you, everybody. That's really useful. We're not going to make any decisions between now and the next meeting. So at our next steering committee, we're going to continue this discussion. What we're going to do is we're going to take all the feedback that we got from you all today. And it sounds to me like everybody thinks we should do a little bit of everything. So I think Marion Institute and the county and OCPC will go away. We'll take a deep dive into the budget and try and see kind of what we think is feasible, mixing up a few of these different ideas. And then we'll come back to you all next month and we'll continue this discussion. I know Carrie and I spoke one-on-one like last couple weeks ago now. Carrie's interested to volunteer at some tabling events at farmers markets, festivals or other local events to try and get feedback from folks. If anybody on this call today is interested in participating more, please reach out to me. We are welcoming anybody who wants to get as dirty as they want in any of the stuff that we're doing. So if you want to volunteer to table at events, if you just want to help us plan the nitty-gritty of some of the stuff, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll get you on that list. Anybody else have any final thoughts?
I would just offer a couple of sites, Joanne, that Sawchuck Farm in Plimpton is essentially very active. He bought 100 acres from Cumberland Farms. He has grapes growing. He has peaches growing. He has a CSA, or did have. He has a retail, and
It's
he has.
I think you mentioned him before, Howard. Yeah.
Tourism that will start soon. That draws lots of people to that site, and it might be a nice off-season venue to introduce people to the scope of farming. He does it all there. And maybe we can get a ride on the Edaville merry-go-round, which just came to his property and is now set up
Really?
for this fall event. And I would offer too, the Y in Stoughton is in the old Stryer Jewish Center, and we have a large auditorium there. Joanne, I can't
Oh, great.
without checking with them, but and audiovisual capabilities there, and they also run.
Awesome.
They have vegetables there all summer long for purchase by the constituents, and they may run a food insecurity program out of there as well. I don't know the full details.
Okay.
Just a couple of thoughts to keep in mind.
Yeah, no, those are great suggestions. Thanks, Howard. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up our meeting for today. We're almost at time. I want to thank everybody for participating. I know it's Labor Day weekend coming up, and it's summer, or the end of summer, and we all want to enjoy that. So I really appreciate your time. Next month, we'll talk more about this. We'll send stuff to you guys in between. Please, if you do have comments on the RFP, send them through by the end of this week. And if you have any further thoughts on education and outreach between now and our next meeting, give me a call or an email and we'll talk more about it. Thank you all.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one.
Joanne, has the invitation for the next meeting gone out?
For the next steering committee meeting
What's?
or the meeting that's happening right now after this
Yes,
one?
yeah.
Yes, I'll send you the link.
Thank you very much.
Yep, no problem. Bye-bye.
Okay.